I am Neil.
I'm Veronica. We fell in love when we were 16, and here we are talking about what life is all about for us. Thank you for joining us.
This is a Life Is podcast with Neil and Veronica.
Hello, everyone, again, and welcome back to Life Is with Neil and Veronica. We hope you all had a fantastic weekend and enjoyed some time for whatever you needed to do to take care of yourself and your families. So Veronica and I actually had some time together last weekend where we went to like a Scandinavian type spa here close to us and just enjoyed some time to just think and really just be together and relax. So we were talking and we had some different ideas floating around, but today, out of those conversations, Veronica, one of those ones we wanted to talk about is life is taking up space. So, of course, when you're in different situations, you're always sort of maybe hesitant to do certain things because you think that you're, getting yourself into other people's areas, or maybe you're hesitant to do certain things because you don't want to intrude others or whatever that may be. So, there was a couple situations where Veronica was looking to lie down in a sauna. And it was a, 60 person sauna, and there was maybe 4 people in there. And so Veronica's like, I don't know why I hesitated there for a second to just lay down and enjoy myself and just take up some space. And it really made me start thinking, you said that, made you start thinking about that in a metaphorical sense, where we need to take up space in the world and to really just put ourselves out there for so many different things. And this really aligns with the whole dream big, because when you dream big and you say them out loud, it puts that energy out into the world, as we've said before, and allows us to focus on what we want for ourselves. So, anything that you wanted to add from that situation?
So much. As you were talking about it, I just felt my energy already. I feel like lately, the podcast that we are doing, I'm fired up. I have so much to share about this. And okay, so to start about that situation. So first of all, I think I literally whispered to Neil, I was like, our next one, we need to talk about taking up space. Or no, I didn't even say that. I literally said, okay, here are squirrely thoughts. I was like, taking up space. And Neil's like, you're not taking up any space. He's like, we're like these loud whispers. Cause when you're sometimes at that spa, you're not supposed to be talking. And he's like, you're not taking up any space. I'm like, no, I know, but we need to talk about taking up space. And he's like, oh, okay, got it. So here we are. And I think this is such an important message because again, this is something that I really struggled with for a long time. And clearly from that example, I still do. So when I say take up the space, I feel like I need to take a breath and a moment because we all deserve to take up space. It is okay to take up space because that is your space. We all have space that we need to be taking up in this world, honestly, and in situations. And I know for me, I needed to keep saying to myself, stop shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. Stop hesitating to try to make people comfortable. Stop assuming things also about what other people are thinking. And I would spend so much time on that side of things where, I had come to realize they're not even thinking remotely anything that I think that they're thinking. That is a lot of thinking. And that's the thing too, right? Okay, sometimes there's value in thinking, but there's more in action. And, with that, I kept saying to Neil also, we need to start signing our own permission slips. You remember bringing home that permission slip at school before you would go on a field trip, right? Obviously you had to have your parent or someone sign that for you. But in life, there are so many situations where you just need to sign your own permission slip and take up that space because you deserve to. And I think also by not taking up space, you're doing so much injustice to others around you, because I think everybody has beautiful space to take up and share. So by taking up space and just breathing into your own, like take a deep breath now if you need to, because I totally am. It's something that I think is such like a beautiful transformation for me. And it has been for me to just be comfortable also with myself, and that it's not on anyone else's terms. Yes, there are times where you need to take other people into account. You need to be considerate. But even like as a mom, as a parent, we are used to putting others first. And it is okay to put yourself first, and to put yourself first in certain situations, or to prioritize yourself and take up that space. So going back to that story. So here we are, right? As Neil mentioned, we walk into like this sauna. It's like, it's big. It's multi-level on one side, literally nobody on one side. And I was thinking, like, I just want to lay down and relax. And I just want to kind of sprawl out. And then I was thinking, I don't want to be that person that's taking up like 10 spaces, or I don't want to be that person that's kind of like laying down when, like, are you even supposed to be sitting up? Are there rules about that? No, there aren't. Do whatever the heck you want. How do you feel comfortable? And how do you want to relax? Like, close your eyes and breathe, or not, or whatever. But, I was thinking like, oh, do I want to? And I hesitated. And then I was like, whatever, and am I going to lay here for like 8 hours? No, because I would like melt and pass out. But, like there's like that rotation of things. So I needed to get out of my own head. And like, that is just a really like simplified, like a metaphor in a sense of a situation of like, I was there to relax, right? We were there to relax. And I just kept thinking about everyone else around me who are like complete strangers that like have no impact on my life. And then after that, I was like, no, I'm going to sit in that chair. Like I am. And I'm going to take my time making this tea. Actually, it was really funny. So Neil made some pre-made bags, which is like hilarious and awesome. And there were these 2 taps in the sink of like hot water to make, these hot teas. And I was like blocking one because it wasn't working. And I was like trying to fill up my cup. And there was this gentleman that was there, and he was like clearly waiting to also fill up his cup. And like, no matter what I did, no matter how fast I pressed that faucet or moved it whichever way, that water was not flowing any faster. So we just all had to like take a moment to breathe. But actually it turned into like a nice, like funny moment. Cause what did he say? He was like, even the water is relaxed, or like whatever. And I was like, you know what? You're right. We need to stop rushing. Just like breathe. It's okay. This water is going to take 10 more seconds to like flow out. But it's so funny because we rush, we think of everyone else. And so there is just that really like that message that I want to say loud and clear to you, the person that is listening, the amazing soul that is tuning into this, that you can take up space. You deserve to take up space, and your space is your space. And actually, that's a beautiful thing. Like, take up that space, because if you're in my life, like, I want to feel that,
Yeah. And I think, the whole deserve part is very, key to that. Is we all deserve the space that we want and the space that we are striving for. And it got me thinking when we were talking about it earlier and today about having an abundant mindset. And really what my thoughts on this is, what holds people back is thinking that there's not enough space out there for you, that if you take up space, if you take up the space that you want, that it's taking away space from others, when in fact there's so much space, there's so much of everything out there for everyone to strive for and to achieve, that you, again, don't need to worry about the others. You just need to worry about yourself. And that's the whole abundance mindset. And I know that it's been part of our journey. We've talked a lot about our journey in all the previous episodes, but having an abundant mindset versus a scarcity mindset in whatever we're doing has really helped us to know that we can achieve whatever we want. We can continue to climb and bring in different things for our lives. And that doesn't take away from what's available to everybody else who may be also trying to achieve the same thing, because there is so much out there for everyone in whatever they're doing. And that should not hold you back from pushing yourself to achieve, to take up that space, and to just be the best version of yourself. And so, I don't know where we began to learn about the abundant mindset. Maybe you have a better memory than I do about that, but it was really something that has transformed us to being who we are now, and really trying to put that message out there. Because I know you've had a few people, and I've had a few people that we've talked about this too. And it's just when you make that mental switch to that, it really starts to open up a lot of different things for each individual person.
I don't remember where that came in either, but I do feel like I am one of those believers that a message comes in when I need to hear it. But I understand that sometimes, it could have came across earlier when I wasn't ready to hear it and receive it too. But I really feel like these messages come in and I'm like, whoa, and we have these great conversations about it. And you and I talk about these things. And this is we often say these are our kitchen conversations. You come across something, you learn about something, you hear about something, or sometimes I have a feeling about something. So often I feel and it's funny that I just said, I feel because I do, I feel I'm the feeler, right? I just have these random thoughts or whatever it is. And then Neil's kind of the theory behind things, where Neil will either listen to something or have some expert to back something up. And he's like, oh yeah, I just heard that, by this important person or whatever it is. But I don't remember where I heard it either. But it's pretty incredible that when you have this abundance mindset and when you stop, well, okay, so here's the thing. I find sometimes I contradict myself in the messages that we say because it's about taking up space. But, when you stop thinking about, I want to say about you to a certain extent, right? And it is about recognizing that there is just so much that for others too. And that, again, we had talked about this before, but there's different baselines, there's different experiences, there's different life circumstances. There's so much happening in the world. And that doesn't mean that you don't have a right to feel what you're feeling, or that your situation is any less than or worse, or there's something there's always, unfortunately, there's always something that's going to be either worse than or better than, or but when you use than, 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 okay, I'm trying to enunciate, it brings it back to the comparison. And I think it's a wonderful thing to be aware. It's a wonderful thing to be mindful and considerate of others and their situations. But when you're using the than, when you're using a ruler, when you're using a comparison, it's just being super unfair to everyone that's involved with that in a sense. And I think you're being unfair to yourself, Because if I have something, let's say, I have this feeling that I want to celebrate. And again, I think that's going back to the like, take up the space. And sometimes like we just so quickly will shrink ourselves or our situation and not celebrate when honestly, like the loved ones around us, they're waiting for that. Like they're waiting to hear your amazing news to celebrate whatever that is with you. Or if you don't have those people, go find those people because, I know we are like that. And I don't feel like by celebrating anybody else that it's making me feel less than. In fact, I find it inspiring, whatever it is. So, there's so much that I think in that perspective of taking up space and celebrating or sharing whatever it is that you want to share, like whatever space means to you, ultimately, like just don't shrink. You're not a gas, okay? You don't need to fit yourself into whatever container is around you. That is as science as I get, okay?
Pretty sciencey. That's impressive for sure. I think the message there, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the message there, if you want to simplify it, is that consideration is greater than comparison, right? And ultimately, it comes back to, for me, the energy that we're putting out there, and because when you're talking about the people around us celebrating, and you're talking about the people around us, showing their joy and fulfillment in what they're doing, it gives off that energy. And like you said, it fuels you, it energizes you to do the same. And when you're maybe holding back, or you're shrinking yourself, or you're, again, trying to compare yourself to somebody else's situation and saying, well, maybe now is not the right time to say something, it uses the wrong energy, and you sort of, then nobody around you feels comfortable to share their success. And it's just like, it's this cycle of like, they don't really seem like somebody that wants to hear from like my success, so I won't hold back. And it really prevents each individual person within that, circle from pushing themselves forward. So yes, having that like-mindedness, having that, again, average of 5 people that you surround yourself with, you're going to be, if everyone there is taking up the space that they want, you will too. And you will be seeing lots of success from it, lots of fulfillment, because of the energy that group has within itself. And just allowing yourself to, again, give yourself permission to be that way, without reservation, without worry, and without thoughts of, again, what others think of you.
So do you have anything practical on that point? Like, I feel like whenever we're having these conversations, usually you're like, boom, listen to this, or like, here's something. So I feel like, sometimes if I say something like, oh, I'm struggling with this, or I'm feeling this way, or, what do you have to say about this? Neil always has these really great pieces of wisdom. I think actually Sarah had said like Neil's nuggets or something like that. But like, how can we encourage everybody to either like take that space or get comfortable, or like what's with like that mindset? Like what would you share?
Ooh, putting me on the spot for this one, because I don't think I have any specific nugget of information or knowledge, but if I had to put it into words, what I would just say, and I guess I just touched on it, is finding your people, finding that community, because you can't do anything alone. And the one quote that really stuck out with me is, if you've achieved anything that you wanted, if you've achieved a goal by yourself, you didn't dream big enough. And just to know that if you have a big dream, if you have something that you want to achieve, you can't go at it by yourself. And if you're going at it with other people that aren't giving you the right energy, that aren't, just celebrating you for you, that also won't help you get there. So I think that having the right people in your community to help you grow your space and encourage you to grow your space is ultimately what you need to do. If you can change one thing, it's to change that environment. I'll go back to, again, our lovely plant analogies, is if you're not growing in the right environment, you need to repot yourself into a new environment, because it's not you who is holding you back at that point. It's what's surrounding you. It's the nutrients, it's the energy, it's the soil for that plant. And for us as humans, it's the energy around us as far as our circle of people. So that would be my nugget of knowledge in regards to, how do you take up more space if you want to? You basically need to find that community. And if you can't find it, in the meantime, we will be that for you. You can come back and listen to this, and we will tell you that you deserve that space. You aren't taking away from others who want space. There's enough space for you and anybody else who wants it. So just, again, go for it.
When you said that, there was a quote that I saw somewhere, and I think it said something like, to the bossy ones, keep being loud. It was like so punchy, and I wish that I could remember it on the spot. But I think, sometimes we think about labels, and sometimes we spend a lot of time, right, thinking about what other people think of us. And you know what I heard? What other people think of you is actually none of your business, or something like that. It was just like, that is something that we can't control. And you don't know why there might or might not be thoughts, right? Sometimes it has nothing to do with you. And it just is a matter of circumstance or timing, or like something comes off. And then, that's something that I've really learned, is I'm like, I'm not taking that personally anymore. And I'm not owning that. Again, I am like literally putting out my hand and pushing that back. There's something about that energy too. Like, go ahead, put your hand up and push that back, because it's not yours to own. And if it's not yours to own, it's not yours to do anything about. Like, you can try to be considerate, like you said, right? And do as much as you can within your realm of control. But then at a certain point, it's changing that environment. And I feel like I am, a friend said to me, and maybe this sounds harsh, but a friend said to me, I'm at that point in my life where like this chapter is invite only. And that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, what you just talked about is, giving people permission to be part of your journey. And it really aligns with, again, who is in your circle? Who are those 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with? Because again, when they are the people that you invite and that aren't just there or have been there, right? And maybe you've outgrown them. Maybe you are at the point now where you want to take up space, but everybody else doesn't want to, or maybe they discourage you from doing that. So you need to find those people who accept your space and how much space you want to have with it. And I think it's a perfect thing to talk about, is your journey is invite only, and that's okay.
And do those people make you feel like your space is valued, because you certainly have a lot of value to add. And like Neil said, if you feel like you don't, then you're not surrounding yourself with the right people, because the right people will make you feel valued. They'll make you feel like you deserve that space. They'll make you feel like you can take up more space, in fact. So, when we talk about taking up your space, if you're not used to taking up space, that's going to look small to start with. And that's great, because that's a step, right? And then, once you start getting comfortable with that, once you surround yourself with the people that are right for you, it's going to start to feel more comfortable. And you're going to start to take up more space. And I feel like, again, I honestly feel like going back to that analogy of we're not a gas, in a sense of needing to fit into the containers around us. Because when I think of the people that don't value the space that I take up, or, that don't make me feel valued, I feel rather constricted. I feel like I'm holding my breath. And that is such a crummy feeling. To have to overthink constantly. And I think we can all relate to that. Right? So if you're surrounding yourself with the people that are constantly making you go around and around in your mind with things that add to your mental load, no. You should value also, I think, yourself enough to know, you don't need that anymore. There really is no reason, in a sense. I don't know, maybe I'm overgeneralizing, but forget it. I think we can all make up excuses as to I think I was having a conversation one day with someone too. I feel also when I'm talking, I only talk in half sentences sometimes when I have these thoughts. But I had a conversation with someone, and it's you start to make up all these excuses about why. And when you start to make up excuses about why, it's almost there's probably 2 reasons for every 1 reason that you need to cut that out, in a sense. And we talk about energy, and we talk about value, and we talk about friendships and connections and environment and how important that is. And there was this quote that I saw. Of course, I'm going to talk about a quote again, but it was stick to the people that make you feel the sunshine.
Yep. And it makes you realize again that when you're surrounded by those people, when you have a community that lifts you up and that is linking arms with you side by side with whatever you're doing, it really changes that whole feeling. It's like standing in the sun. You just feel better. You just have energy, and it just puts a smile on your face. We can all relate to that. We all know that feeling. You step outside and you're like, this is amazing. And again, when it's those people that are your sunshine, it makes all the difference in the world.
I'm laughing because there are 2 instances that I could think of in my mind when you said that. I could so vividly picture it. And one was, I think it was last spring or summer, right? Things were opening up. We were able to go outside and do more things. But I literally walked outside, and if you can all picture me, okay, stepping out my door, going onto our street, I did not give any F's about anything. I threw my arms in the air, and I literally looked up at the sun, and I was like, these are the days. It was so loud.
I can verify that story. Yeah, that is 100% accurate. And we used that for maybe a few weeks whenever we were happy about things. That was the term. These are the days. Yeah.
And it felt so good. And there are times when I just honestly, I'll close my eyes and just feel that morning sunshine. I was saying to Neil, I need to do more of that and just take a minute to just soak that in. And then we were talking about how to reset my circadian rhythm, but that's a whole other conversation. But then I was giggling because it reminded me of when I was in Vegas and I just threw my arms in the air, right? It was like one of the very few days that we actually had sunshine, but I was with the people and the souls that made me feel like sunshine. And all of that together, I'm literally just like prancing down the streets of Vegas. Again, not giving an F, arms in the air and just full on like, yay, like looking from side to side. Did not care. I was so happy. I was just like in my element. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, take up that space, feel that sunshine, surround yourself with the people that encourage you to own your space, deserve that space, and ultimately dream big, because the space that you want is how big your dream is going to be. And when you put it out there, you're going to draw in those people. So,
and just do big. Do big. Like we talk about dreaming big a lot, but I think in the aspect of taking up space, it is the day to day, right? It is that situation by situation. And that, as you mentioned, though, I think is just gonna like allow you to flourish and bloom. And like, okay, let's talk about quotes and tattoos. I feel like you were about to wrap it up and I'm like, wait a second, I have a thought. And it's because dreaming big is amazing. But I think in this scenario, it is about like, the everyday, and it is about just like breathe out and take up that space. And one of my favorite quotes is living life in full bloom. But if you can picture like just that flower that's like giantly blooming and taking up space, like that's okay, right? So it is about the everyday as well. Yes, we will always tell you to dream big. And we can say that in every podcast if we need to, and tell you that you are amazing and that we are grateful for you and everything else that Neil is about to tell you in the wrap up, because you need to hear it. But it is about the everyday as well.
Absolutely. So yes, we are grateful for you. We can't say it enough. And as Veronica knows, I will never stop saying how grateful I am for her and how grateful I am for everyone in my life. But, her and I are grateful for each and every one of you, for you listening today, for being in this episode. You've heard it because you need to hear it today. So be sure, take up that space and to dream big. And we look forward to sharing more messages and taking up some space at the end of this week with another Perspectives episode with somebody who is very special in our lives. We really look forward to these episodes and bringing in these other people to give them a voice for their big dreams, for their perspective. So we look forward to that at the end of this week. But thank you, as always, for everything that you bring to this community. And we look forward to speaking with you again next time. Have a great day.